I'm Jennifer Davis Page, one of the co-hosts of Boom Talk Media Group. We welcome you today.
And I'm BB Peters.
And I'm Dr. Andrea Gould Marks. I'm the psychologist on the show. And for our second season of Boom Goddess Talk, we are taking on the subject of love. Our first episode is being filmed on Valentine's Day. And we're really interested in how couples perceive their relationships.
Today we have a married couple, Lala and Chuck Corriere. We're going to ask them a few discerning questions in separate interviews in separate rooms and share their answers for you to enjoy. Some people may refer to this couple as your classic lovebirds, and we're going to put them to the test.
Last year, when we spoke with Chuck and Lala, we thought it would be a great idea to have them as our first guest because they really are the lovebirds of the town.
We have an intriguing show. We're going to separate Lala from Chuck, and then we're going to have a little fun asking each one of them questions that the other, of course, doesn't hear, and then we're going to switch places.
So, Lala, welcome. Thank you
Hi,
for
Bibi.
coming by.
Thank you.
And here we go with the questions. So, give us a little bit of context, please. Is Chuck your first husband? And how long have you two been married?
3 times to get it right, but I did. And Chuck and I have been married 28 years. We met in '85 on St. Patrick's Day. I was in the design business. I was downtown. We tell people we met the old-fashioned way in a bar.
Were you in New York City at the time? Or
Denver.
Were you here? Denver.
Denver.
Oh, that's okay. That's wonderful. Tell us what constitutes a perfect day for you, and for the two of you to share. What would be a perfect day?
Okay, well, I got that one. Waking up next to my man with 2 little teacup Yorkies in our bed.
Okay.
And they, the boy sleeps with daddy and the girl sleeps with me, and that's a perfect morning. Perfect day is knowing I have the support of my guy, because I sit home, mostly, I'm a writer, so I sit home and write. And without his support and love, he tells me not to make the bed. It's wasting my time. Well, I have to make the bed. But yeah, it's a perfect day.
Sometimes it's just the smallest things that really matter. And every shining star has got a shadow. Mm-hmm. And what is the most endearing trait that your husband has, in your opinion?
I think that he would not want me to say that he is tender. He is
Because he's a man.
Yeah, I think so. He's an Italian. But I think that's he's very tender. So much so that his feelings get hurt easily.
Let's see what happens next.
So, welcome, Chuck.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So, give us a little context, if you would. Is Lala's your first wife, and how long have you two been married?
Lala is my second wife, and we have been married roughly since 1988, but do the math, I think it's 28 years. It'll be 29 in 2017. I'm doing the math while we're talking here.
Perfect. How about if you describe the moment that you knew that Chuck was for you? How did that happen?
Well, let me tell you a little story that you all don't know. And that is, yes, we met in the bar, and yes, we made goo-goo eyes at each other, from across the way. So when I was leaving the bar with my girlfriend, business partner, she didn't even see it, but Chuck went like this to me. Okay, well, he was handsome as could be, so I made a beeline to him. He tried to kiss me on the lips. And I went like
Moment one.
Moment one, not a good. But he did hand me his card, and I would say what you all don't know is we fell in love quickly, but from the minute, way before we met, Chuck had plans to sail the world for a year. He had bought a yacht, and he was leaving. And so we met in March, and he left in November for a year.
So you
Adds to
didn't
the
see him for
drama.
the entire year? Well, that adds to drama. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Adds to the drama that I found out he had a cook on board.
Can you go back to the moment that you two met and kind of describe the moment that you knew she was for you?
Well, the way we met was, it was St. Paddy's Day, and I was in a Irish pub interviewing someone for a position with my company. And during the interview, I happened to notice across the room there were a group of men around a table, and there were two brunettes sitting at that table, and one of them was Lala. And somehow when I looked over, we caught each other's eye. And so I continued my interview, but during the interview, since he was here and she was on that side, I could wink at her with that eye. So I started winking at her, and she would go like that. But there were all these men that were buying him drinks and whatever. So I winked, and finally when she got up to leave with her friend, I went like this. And she came over to where I was, and we exchanged business cards. And she was an interior designer. And I lived in a very large house with no furniture. I had been divorced for a while, and my boys and I lived together. I kept the kids. And we had bicycles in the living room. So immediately it occurred to me that I needed a designer.
You are such a wonderful writer, and your murder mysteries are incredible. Do you ask him when you start writing and start developing your characters, do you ask him for his input at all?
I do not, but he is my first beta reader. He is my first person to read it, and he's basically, when he finishes reading my book, he crawls into bed with me and says, "I'm not sure I want to sleep with you tonight." So anyway, that's the kind of lifestyle we have.
Now, she's such a wonderful writer. Now, when she starts putting her characters together and starts framing a book, does she come to you and does she say, "Chuck, what do you think?" Does she ask you about character form or anything?
Yes. The last book that she started writing is called Tracks. I came up with the name of it in the middle of the night, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I put it in the breakfast room where she goes in the morning. I said, "Tracks," and she said, "What's Tracks?" And I said, "I think that's the name of a book, your book." And I said, "It's about needle tracks and heroin and train tracks and tire tracks," and so she liked that.
Does she get involved in the real estate game with you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she
yeah.
does.
Yep, I'll tell her. I'll say, this deal isn't going bad or going good. And she'll say, "What's up?" And I'll tell her, and she'll say, "Why don't you do this or that?" And she knows a lot about real estate. She was a licensed real estate agent at one time.
Well, that's
And she's very smart.
Yes, she is.
You have a built-in consultant.
She's way smarter than I am.
How much time do you spend alone, writing, being
No.
outside, or together? How does that work?
Well, that's a good question, Bibi. At our stage in life, we don't really go out very often. Seriously, we don't. If we do, we go to brunch. We go to that kind of thing. We go to the farmer's market, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We used to be very busy in the philanthropic world. We would belong to the country club and charities and blah, 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 all the gowns and all of that stuff. Right now I'd rather write him a check and stay home and snuggle with my family. So Chuck works Monday through Friday. Occasionally he works on weekends. We hang as much as we can. Let's say that.
You flow.
We flow. We float.
So, how much time do you spend together, actually, and how does your work keep you away, and what do you do work-wise?
I am a commercial real estate investor and advisor. People who want to come to Tucson and invest money in real estate, I help them find the right deal for them. She is a writer, so she spends most of her time behind the computer writing. Many days I work from home. I have a home office. She has a home office. So we're together a lot during the day. And one of the nice surprises is more often than not, she'll make lunch and bring me lunch. Although she swears she's not going to do that again. So I appreciate that.
That's sweet. Lala,
Yes,
what do you
dear.
think, if thinking back, is the most treasured memory that you have in your relationship?
We did, for our 20th anniversary, we did go to the beach and renew our vows, and that was very beautiful. But it was just us, nobody else. It was just us.
It's a private treasure.
It's a private treasure, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was very, very specific just toward us.
And other than that, what do you imagine your perfect getaway to be?
Well, we love the beach. And the perfect getaway, well, you know, our son just got married in Italy. Oh, now it's been over a year, but it was so romantic and so beautiful. Chuck's Italian. That was beautiful, but really, when you can drive for 4 hours and be at Puerto Penasco on the beach, we like that. We love Mexico, so that's kind of getaways. We love Sedona, but we don't go to Sedona. We go to Cornville.
Yes, close by.
We have a cottage that we love to rent. It's on an acre of grass, has a beautiful lit gazebo outside, and our little Munchkin 2 dogs can come with us. So
Need to bring the babies.
I have to bring the babies.
And tell us a little bit about what would be your favorite getaway if you were planning it and Lala didn't know? What would you put into that little getaway?
The beach.
And even in this idyllic relationship, even the smoothest relationships sometimes have bumps in the road.
Oh, absolutely.
What's your favorite way of handling those interruptions in the life?
This is not going to go over well with you at all. Because when I get that way, my idea is to hide. You know, crawl in bed and hide and shut the door. Chuck likes to talk things through.
Every relationship, no matter how smooth it is, does have some bumps in the road at times. What would you say is the way you guys handle that bump in the road, that tear?
Well, I get mad and I get verbal. And she gets mad and gets quiet, which works fine because she retreats, closes the bedroom door, and I fume. But it goes away.
And what in life do you feel most grateful?
Oh my God, for my husband. Absolutely. I will tell you, subconsciously, when I talk about Valentine's Day, I'll often refer to it as Thanksgiving Day. And I don't mean it, it just slips out. Yeah, absolutely. The day I met that man that went like that changed my world.
You two are great friends. How important is friendship, do you think, in a marriage? And do you recommend it to other couples that are maybe not as solid as you two are? How important is friendship?
I think friendship is really important, very important, but I don't think it's the only thing. I think it's a mutual respect, caring, going out of your way, doing more than what the other person expects. It's more than friendship, but friendship is important. But we're not just friends. We're lovers. We're in love.
Well, of course you are. Of course you are.
What would you say is the special sauce, the magic that keeps you guys together?
It's about keeping things different. And even at 28 years of marriage, you know, it's, well, I can tell you funny stories that have nothing to do with sex or relationship, by the way. But one time Chuck had to get up early and go to the hardware store. And I was outside, we had a big fountain, and I was cleaning out the fountain, and I heard this, it was a little tiny baby deer, brand new fawn. Wow. And I just sat down and it came into my arms. So about 20 minutes later, I'm in the dining room with a brand new fawn.
Aren't you
So,
full of surprises?
aren't I full of surprises? He never exactly knows. He also doesn't know if he's going to come home to dinner or not.
So your secret sauce, the magic that keeps the two of you together, if you had to say in a sentence or so, what would it be?
We talk. We talk every day at about 5 o'clock. We used to smoke. We both quit, but we used to smoke. And so-
Cigarettes?
Cigarettes. And we'd go out and smoke cigarettes, have a drink, and talk. Now we just drink.
Just drink. Perfect. No lunch, no supper, just cocktails.
That's
I love
special
that.
sauce.
That's special sauce.
Got it.
Let's talk a little bit about food. You are a masterful chef. Thank you. I know that from Facebook. Tell me about what is your favorite meal and what is Chuck's favorite meal?
My favorite meal starts with escargot and goes on to the Alaskan king crab legs. That is I can eat that every day. Chuck is probably going to say pasta.
Food isn't a big thing for her.
But if she went out to dinner,
Oh,
if she went
now
out
we're
to
talking
dinner,
escargot. Escargot with a little bread, garlic, and she likes that. And she likes crab legs. Crab legs. Why didn't I think of that?
well, you did.
Every year,
Think of that.
every year on her birthday, I take her out for crab legs, and we have a freezer full of crab legs right now.
Now, having said all of that about the escargot and the crab and the pasta, if you two were to invite anyone, past or present, dead or alive, to your home for dinner, who would you invite and who would he invite?
I don't know who he would invite, but I would invite Ellen DeGeneres. If you would think about it, he might invite Jay Leno.
We know that you two love to cook. And my question to you is, if you were to cook a meal, your favorite meal, and invite a person, past or present, dead or alive, to your home, who would you invite and who would she invite?
That's really tough because there are so many people I'd like to see again. Maybe my dad, maybe my father,
Okay.
and I would make spaghetti sauce. Spaghetti sauce that he taught me how to make, that his father taught him how to make, that I've taught my children how to make. And I don't know who she would invite, but she might invite someone from the literary world, maybe Sidney Sheldon or somebody like that.
Well, it sounds like a good time would be had by all, and we'd like you to invite us too when you
Okay.
have that dinner party.
Gosh, why didn't I think of that?
Now we have identified that you love cleaning fountains. And if you were to further describe the things that you do and that Chuck does around the house, how do you divide those things and which ones are they?
They're mine. He's not. He's never been a gardener. He does know electricity.
To turn it on and off.
So if you were going to give some advice to a newly married couple or a couple that's decided to be committed and they think they're going to be so for a good long time, what would your best advice be?
Well, obviously be honest, be flexible, be ready to ride the biggest wave you've ever had, that's what I would say, because it does ebb and flow. I mean, I'm not going to tell you Chuck and I never fight, but We rarely do, actually. You know, mostly we'll start fighting and start giggling.
If you had a solid piece of advice to give to a newly married couple or a newly committed couple, what would you say to them? What would you give to them?
You know, I observe a lot of married couples because I've had a lot of employees over the years. And the thing that seems to work is being romantic.
How would you describe that? Romance.
Well, for Valentine's Day, Lala happens to like wine. So I bought her Prosecco that we were introduced to in Italy, Tuscany, when we were there. I bought her a bottle of red wine from Tuscany, and I bought her a bottle of white wine because she likes a buttery Chardonnay, and then some chocolate. So, you know, I'm thinking about her. I'm not just buying some flowers, although I brought home some flowers. So it's about the thoughtful gifts. She bought me something that I thought was ridiculous.
What is
And
that?
what was that?
It's a thing that makes frothy milk.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love that to go with your
To make a
coffee and
latte.
espresso and latte.
Yes.
We don't have a latte maker.
Well, we need to get you one then.
I'm going to go buy a cappuccino machine.
Oh, well, I get so amused when I look at your Facebook page and you're writing and you're up at 2:30 in the morning and you're developing your characters, and and you often say on your Facebook page how Chuck might be asleep and you're writing and getting great ideas. I just love that. I mean, I just absolutely love it. And I've read a few of your books, and I think that you are just amazing.
Thank you.
And-
You know what I love is because Chuck does know that I get out of bed and I get an idea in my head and I have to go write it. But I know he does this because sometimes I'm back in bed and he'll go like this to see if I'm there.
You have him trained.
Well, it's so cute because he wants to know if I'm there. And sometimes that's why I know, because sometimes I'm there. So
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us on this very special day, Valentine's Day.
happy Valentine's Day to all of
And
you.
to you as
And may we
well.
first realize you have to love yourself first.
Well
Here's
said,
here.
Mom.
Well said.
All right, sweeties.
We are delighted that you are here. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with us on Valentine's Day, of all days, right? We were charmed by you and Lala over a year ago, and now here you are talking to us on this very special day.
Well, thank you. We first met Jennifer at the Kentucky Derby.
Yes, we did. Chuck and I bet on the same horse and won.
And won.
Yes.
I bet on two. I bet on 1 and 2.
And we were standing in line waiting for our money, and so it was a wonderful day. Lala came up to me and she says, we had our beautiful hats on. She took my hat off my head and I took hers off, and we swapped hats, and we had a delightful day. And she says, you know what, you and I are going to be friends for the rest of our lives. So we had a delightful day, and it was wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me. I really enjoyed it.
It was wonderful having them today as our guest. And, you know, I think we're very fortunate because we have a lot of friends that are happily married, have been married for a long time, and really do love each other.
I think that one of the things that's so beautiful is to be able to share with you, our audience, such specifics. This couple is so articulate about what works. And that's such a beautiful thing to see, because sometimes we don't really have the kinds of role models that we need in order to make a good relationship if we've never had one before.
And I loved how they, you know, being married for 28 years, still have that friendship and that romance intact. There is something I would imagine to being married for the, you know, second or third time, where maybe you've perfected some of the things that weren't as fun the very first time.
It was so impressive to hear a man Chuck, talk about the importance of romance. And really, when he talked about romance, he was really saying that the bottom line is really paying very close attention to your partner.
And for young people that will take a look at this episode and they're thinking about getting married, they know it'll work. I mean, if you put the time in and you put the romance in and the friendship in and all the things that we talked about, you know it will work.
Especially being able to really enjoy each other's company. That was so touching, how really they get such pleasure from being close.
Valentine's Day is such a fabulous gift to the couple, and to see their answers independent of each other and sort of revealing the mystery behind their 28-year successful marriage has been a real pleasure for us as well.
I think that we can go on and do this many times over.